Good mile backs her daughter's lunch and bossy as a man. Found time for soccer, starts a college fun at the age of 3. All I wanted was to pin your wings down in a glass case. Left for all your friends and family, you're on display. Hey.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here. Wow. 3 live streams, 3 days in a row. We are back. And yeah, maybe you can kind of tell here from the lighting. I'm trying to mask it as best I can, but I got a little bit of sun at the Polish Fest yesterday. Went out there with my wife and some family and friends. Got this really killer Polska glass here. I'm enjoying some Dad's root beer out of it. I always like to have a soda when I'm with you guys. But don't worry, I get the bottled soda that's got the real sugar and not the bull crap in it. But yeah, welcome guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are celebrating 500 subs today. You guys are absolutely incredible. When this channel started back in like July/August, you know, I had all sorts of dreams and aspirations. You guys have been able to not only let me or help me reach all of those goals, but things just really seem to be building some steam right now. So thank you all so much for doing what you do, sharing the channel, or even just coming to hang out and jumping into the chat. It's awesome to see you guys here. Just want to jump into the chat because gosh, we had some people kind of in the waiting room here before the chat started, which is always really cool to see. Holy cow, 13 people watching right now. You guys are incredible. So we've got Gary Blue Wolf 87 is in the chat. Lord Kev came by to say hi. We've got Robert the Wolfman, ow, 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 in the chat. What's happening, Robert? Great to see you again, sir. And before that, man, Michael Dammit, Raymond Miller, or Malabar, I'm so sorry. I'm just reading things so quickly. And David Irwin, all the way from out in Ireland, I believe, for David Irwin. So hopefully you're still in here, David, but I totally understand if it's, you know, a late night out there. I'd imagine you got to be like 8 or 9 hours ahead of where we're at here in Arizona. It's 4 p.m. Arizona time. We've got Mud Nelson. Welcome to the chat. Gavin. Gene Whitacombe. Thank you so much on the congrats for the 500 subs, Gene. Ashton Luck is in the chat. Blu-ray Addict. You guys are great. Thank you so much on stopping by and giving the congratulations. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Obviously, I guess that's pretty evident, but really want to make sure that every single step of the way that we go here, with the channel, that we're, giving you guys your flowers because they're very, very well deserved. So today on the show, I'm going to have a real quick sip. Today on the show, like most of these weekend shows, we'll kind of do a roundup of what the channel, what we did on the channel this last week, and some looking into the future here as far as what's coming up next, but also, 500 subs, so we can sort of, bask in that a little bit. If you guys have any questions that you want to ask me, I know I usually don't do like a Q&A, and really it's just because I don't want to be so like presumptuous that a whole bunch of people want to ask me a whole bunch of questions, but please feel free, guys. Questions about whatever. I talk about kind of a little bit of everything. At least when we do these lives, you guys get a lot more of my personality outside of just the pre-recorded videos of the topics that we cover. So, you get to just kind of see how I am a little bit more. But yeah, this week was a really fun one. I'm fortunate enough to work from home, so on my lunch breaks, I can like break down my home office that I use for work, and I can set everything up to shoot these videos. So what I've been doing is I've been doing some reactions, on that noon to 1 time, just squeezing that in on my lunch. We had a couple trailers that dropped earlier this week that we covered. So first on the list, first off, do you guys, does anybody have anything they want to say or any questions before we really get rolling here? Just want to make sure I'm paying attention. Let me see. Oh, this is great. Looks like you guys are just kind of saying hi to each other. That is awesome. So cool to see that. Gary says, are you planning on coming to conventions in Michigan one day? Well, I'm certainly not against that, Gary. Yeah. My wife grew up, she was born in Grosse Pointe Park, and she grew up in Detroit, and a little bit her grandpa lived out in White Lake, so she spent some time out there as well. So, going back to Michigan, I think would be great. My wife's father lives right outside of Ann Arbor, and I'm a huge Michigan Wolverines fan, so I would absolutely love to go visit Ann Arbor. I've driven like past it on a road trip one time, but it was for work, so I wasn't able to stop in the actual town. But I'd love to kick it in Ann Arbor, go check out some record stores. I'll be 42 here next month, so hanging around some younger people in that college town would be kind of cool. And of course, I would love to catch a Wolverines football game. That would be amazing. My dad graduated. He got his master's at University of Michigan. He went to the Coast Guard Academy for his undergrad, and then they sent him to Michigan so he could get his master's in environmental science. So my family has been rooting for the Wolverines, since the 70s. So it would be great to get back to Michigan, check out a Wolverines game. Of course, conventions would be amazing. If the channel got to the point where somebody like me could go to a convention, to set up a table and say, what's up? The likelihood of me traveling out there just to go to a convention as a spectator is probably not that great because I live so far away. But you never know. Maybe if they do if they did like an Evil Dead big anniversary convention and they did something like that in Michigan, because all those guys are from Michigan, that would be really cool. I would probably fly out for something like that. So great question, Gary. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I would love to spend some time there. I feel like even though I never have lived there, it's kind of a big part of my life, with my family's history, and then also with, meeting my wife. It's, I feel an attachment there, even though I never lived there. So Blu-ray Addict says favorite spoof movie, ? Okay. That's probably going to be like, that's a tough one. Airplane was the one I grew up with. Airplane and Naked Gun. I'd say Airplane probably gets the edge there just because it's so like bonkers crazy. But I also, I didn't like a lot of those like scary movie, date movie, like all those kind of movies. But when they did Not Another Teen Movie, it was a totally different, it wasn't the Seltzer and whatever that other guy's name was. They didn't write that movie at all. It was a different group that wrote Not Another Teen Movie. It just seemed like it was all part of the same production company. I think Not Another Teen Movie is great. And I think it's kind of a throwback to the 80s style, even though, if memory serves, I think Not Another Teen Movie came out in 2001. But I think all those scary movies and all that are pretty trash, like not very funny to me at all. I don't see really what's funny about just recreating moments from other movies straight up. And also like, jizz jokes and like Bush jokes, like big Bush. It just, those things just, I don't know what it is. I don't think they're very clever. I think even though there's some really like childish, immature humor in movies like Airplane and Naked Gun, I think they earn those moments by having a lot of the other jokes work on a way higher level. So yeah, I would say probably Airplane, Naked Gun, Not Another Teen Movie. If I had to do a 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see. That's a good question. Thank you, Blu-ray Addict. And Blu-ray Addict, maybe you've told me what your first name is, but if not, let me know and I can call you by your name. But if you want me to just call you Blu-ray Addict, that's cool too. No worries. Let's see here. Gavin asks, have you ever seen Crash Cronenberg? That's what I'm in the middle of. Oh, so his Crash movie, which is about people that purposely get into car accidents because it like heightens the sexual experience that follows directly after the automobile crash. Is that the one you're talking about, right? Because then there was the one that what's his face did. I'm blanking on his name right now. He did Sex Lies and Videotape because he did a movie called Crash, I think shortly after, that's about the whole like LA kind of thing where, racism and all that stuff kind of boils over like one afternoon. I have not seen either movie, but I remember both of them being a big deal in different ways. Such a horny movie. So yeah, you must be talking about the one where people crash their cars. Yeah. Oh yeah, love that Dad's root beer. All right, Gene Whitcomb asks, what made you want to do YouTube? And maybe I've hinted at this a couple other times in videos, but I became a huge YouTube fan watching like the Angry Video Game Nerd. Probably like 07, 08 is when I started getting into watching YouTube. And then, I just sort of kept up on his videos for a while. They kind of lost me after a little bit. The novelty just sort of like wore off. But then I started watching guys like Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards and Lee from Drum Dums. And then, of course, like I think the big push for me was seeing Dave McRae in 2017 starting to cover the David Gordon Green Halloween movies. And then also, he would dive into some of like the lore of the franchise, little behind the scenes stories. I just like, those are the kinds of things I like talking about when I talk film with people. So when you meet someone that's like a genuine film nerd and you can sort of dive into the behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I was just inspired by other people that seemed like-minded to me. So, and for a long time, I think it was just, wondering, how am I gonna, if I go out there and start doing YouTube, is it just gonna be more of the same? Am I even gonna be able to stand out? So like for no good reason, I just didn't do YouTube. And I finally got to the point last year where I had been mulling over starting a channel for a really long time. There was an opportunity to become an associate producer on It's Me Billy Chapter 2 by purchasing a perk from the campaign, which is actually, the campaign is still open. They're in demand right now, so you can still support that film. And I think there's even one more associate producer spot. So, with that opportunity came another opportunity to appear on an episode of McRae Live, which should be happening this summer with Dave. So, when I saw that was there, that I can invest in him and Bruce, I believe in what they do as far as their technical skill, and I also believe in what they do as storytellers. I think that's one of the great things about just watching Dave's videos is you can tell that he understands how story works, what makes stories not work, what makes them work. And so I trust those guys and was willing to take that leap of faith investing in their film, and also thought, well, this is perfect. I can start my channel. In about a year, hopefully once everything's humming, I'll be able to appear on McCrae Live. I'll be able to kind of find my voice and hopefully find an audience, which thankfully, and yeah, for you guys, that's happened. We've been able to build an audience here at the channel, which is incredible. 16 people watching right now, which 17, it just went up. So, you know, that's humbling and encouraging. All those things that I say to you guys so much here. It's just been... it seems like each experience that we have here on the channel just fuels the fire for the next video or the next live that we do. So yeah, I saw that opportunity to, I got to meet Dave at Mad Monster, tell him that I just became an associate producer, tell him I was going to start his channel. He was incredibly sweet to me. He looked me dead in the eyes in full Freddy makeup and said, well, maybe this is the beginning of something new for you. And I took that and was like, yes, this is Kismet. This was meant to be. And so put out my little spoiler-free review of Dylan's New Nightmare after seeing it at the screening at Mad Monster, and then just kind of took the channel from there. And, you know, I'm sure if you guys were following me at the end of 2023, just started picking up steam a little bit. Like in December, we covered all the Black Christmas movies. So I was doing one pre-recorded video a week, which was pretty intense. And then as 2024 has kicked off, we've been able to work in more live shows because we actually have an audience that is showing up. You guys are so amazing, popping in here in the chat and interacting. It makes me, I always wanted to do the live thing, but the last thing you want to do is go live and have no one show up. And, you know, that defeat can sort of fester. But, you know, we've been just keeping things humming with you guys here in the chat, and it's been great thus far. So last week we talked about goals for 2024. You know, reaching 500 before the end of April was definitely like a massive goal that I wanted to reach. And I said like 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. Honestly, I would like to hit 1,000 by August. That would like mark the year anniversary of the channel. And I know that's really lofty, but we're going to keep on pressing. Later on in the show here, we'll get to some of the things that we have planned. And I think we can do it, guys. I think that if we keep consistently putting out material, keep building that community, connecting with you guys, connecting with other content creators, other people just in the creative sphere, I definitely think that we can reach that. And I'm really looking forward to doing that McCrae Live with Dave, because I know a lot of you may have found me from Dave's channel or from the Slaughter and Lamb Movie Podcast channel. But what I really am looking forward to is reaching out to all those, or being able to, you know, sort of be seen and let my personality be seen by all the other great people in those chat rooms that haven't found their way here yet. To be able to show you guys that I know what I'm talking about, at least when it comes to things like Evil Dead. Hopefully I can make a bigger fan out of Dave through that experience. That's a little goal built into that appearance. But yeah, great question, Gene. Really, it was just inspiration. Similarly to how I wanted to become a musician when I was a little kid, music just inspired me. I wanted to inspire people the way that the bands that I grew up listening to inspired me. So, you know, everyone that I've watched on YouTube has just sort of contributed, and then things just kind of boiled over, and here we are. Let's see here. Gary says, I would love to meet you guys in person. That would be great, Gary. Yeah, you know, like I said, if they do an Evil Dead convention out there, or maybe we would visit the Ann Arbor area to visit my wife's father. So I'm not sure how close you are to that area, but yeah, you know, the idea of visiting Michigan, I would love to do that for sure. Let's see here. What's up, Happy Sanjo? We've got Koi in the chat, or Voy when I fat finger the keyboards, depending on how it's going there. Thank you for coming by, Koi. Love seeing you, man. It's great seeing you pop up in the other chat rooms as well. Appreciate you coming by here. Let's see here. I'm sorry, Lord Kev. I promise it wasn't a setup. What did I miss from Michael Dammit up here? I must have missed something. You'll have to let me know, Michael. Let me know. Let's see here. I saw one. Raymond, is there an underrated slasher or horror in general you would recommend? Okay, so two pop in to my mind really quick there, Raymond. The Prowler from 1981, I think, is an underrated slasher. I don't hear it talked about very much. You know, it never had a series or anything like that spawn off of it. It's never been remade, but it was directed by Joseph Zito, who directed Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, which just celebrated its 30th anniversary on last night on Saturday. And Tom Savini does the effects in The Prowler. And it's your kind of classic, like, whodunit revenge slasher. I like it a lot. And when I saw Thanksgiving in 2023, Thanksgiving reminded me a lot of The Prowler and, you know, My Bloody Valentine as well. And then I'd say another underrated horror in general is The Changeling with George C. Scott. I believe that came out in 1980. And that is an awesome slow burn haunting movie. Really good shit. If you like movies like What Lies Beneath, or like The Innkeepers or House of the Devil by Ty West, like if you like that kind of stuff, I highly recommend The Changeling. If you've not seen it, it's fantastic. George C. Scott is just magnetic in that film. The music is really good. I love seeing how the story develops. I like those movies where it's like a ghost is trying to find justice through somebody. So a whole bunch of scary stuff kind of happens, but really the whole point is that the ghost wants somebody to know what actually happened to them in their real life that was unjust. So everything can be dug up and resolved even after they're gone. I love that concept. Also, Stir of Echoes does that kind of thing too, which I think Stir of Echoes is a really underrated film. Let's see here. Matt Conway Art, my brother Matt says, what is the airspeed of a laden swallow? I don't know, so I'd be thrown in the pit, that's for sure. Coy wants to know, has a horror movie ever made me cry? I don't think so, Coy. I'm trying to think of the last time I cried during a movie. It hasn't happened in a really long time. I don't think a horror movie has ever made me cry. Although, you know, when the TV series V was on, when I was a little boy, the miniseries, I would hide behind my mom's chair. So I wouldn't cry out of sadness, but I probably cried out of fear, even though I still loved the show. I was one of those kids that like I would simultaneously be scared and fascinated. And so that's probably why I found horror later on in life in such a big way. Gary doesn't like the spoof movies, period. Not even Airplane or Naked Gun, Gary. Come on, those are great. Foz Rotten, my guy Foz. We just debuted our brand new show, Movie Punks, last night. That was a blast chatting with him about Night of the Demons 2, which is celebrating 30 years of existence. I think that's coming up either tomorrow or Tuesday is the actual 30th anniversary. So we had a great time talking about that for a couple hours last night. You can hop on over to the channel once we're done here if you want to check that out. Really fun movie, and we'll talk a little bit more about what Foz and I are going to be covering here, you know, as that show develops. So let's see here. Foz says, what about Don't Be a Menace While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood? I've only seen that like one time, but I did like it. I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka. That's another one that's a good parody movie from back. I think that's more like late 80s. Yeah, those are much better because those are Wayans Brothers productions. Those are so much better than the Scary Movies. I remember the second Scary Movie having like a funny opening scene where all the adults are like playing Shake Ya Ass on the piano, and I thought that was funny. And then what's his face, Chris, I think he was on SNL for a little bit, and then he had that show Get a Life. I'm totally forgetting his last name right now, but his daughter was on SNL for a little bit. He's got like that little hand that he's like putting in the mashed potatoes. But other than that, like those movies don't really work for me too much. Let's see here. Gene says Airplane is a great movie, and even the second one for me is just sort of like more of the same, but I definitely wouldn't shake a stick at it, that's for sure. Thank you, Vanderhoff, for the congratulations on 500. Really appreciate you, man. Blue Wolf says favorite superhero movie. You guys are really hitting me with the questions. All right. Favorite superhero movie. Oh, that one's so tough. The first Batman that Tim Burton did, I really love that movie. I also think X2, out of like the newer era of comic book movies, I think X2 is really good. And that came before, even before those movies were really big hits. I also really love Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. I think Doc Ock is awesome in that movie. I think it's the perfect blend of Raimi's style, that kind of Evil Dead like approach, but also having that comic book feel. Really like those two a lot. But yeah, I mean, there's so many really good ones. So let me know, Gary, what's your favorite superhero movie? I want to hear that for sure. I grew up just such a big fan of like the X-Men, so I kind of like lean that way. I really like X-Men First Class is really good, and Days of Future Past, really, really good as well. And I also really liked The Batman with Robert Pattinson. I thought it was, it's really long, would be my only kind of with it. But I do like seeing a Batman that does like detective work. I feel like in the animated series, he did a lot of that detective work and a lot of those like the riddle solving and all that kind of thing. So it was cool to see a creepy like serial killer version of the Riddler. The way that Paul Dano like just always, it's like he never blinked. He always had his eyes open like that. There was some really like creepy Michael Myers vibes there with his Riddler. So I really enjoyed that. Michael Dammit says, I couldn't watch Scream 2 because the beginning of it seemed like a scary movie. Yeah, well, Scream always had that sense of humor, but I don't think the sense of humor in Scream, I think maybe even in Scream 3, the sense of humor gets even bigger than in Scream 2. But yeah, definitely that movie within a movie kind of thing in the opening of Scream 2, which I like that opening is pretty good. But yeah, especially everything that's like in the Stab movie that they're watching is pretty silly, for sure. Gavin says, yeah, but Shannon Elizabeth is in Scary Movie, but she's also in American Pie, and you get to see all the goods in that movie, so I don't need to see her in Scary Movie, right? And if Scary Movie were funny, I would like it, but I just don't think it's very funny. What's happening, Tyler? Welcome to the chat. Hey, man, I had the mic going for the whole time this stream, so you'll be proud of me to know that. Gary's favorite superhero movie is definitely Batman Forever. All right, yeah. Michael, damn it, James Spader. Yeah, I think James Spader is in that Crash movie. I am falling behind on the chat. We have 17 people in the chat. Holy cow. Coy says, same Davey, AVGN eventually just expanded into other YouTube channels. Yeah, exactly. Holy Rusted Metal Batman. That's great. Let's see here. Raymond says Dave is a cool guy. I would imagine you're talking about McRae. I agree. I think Dave McRae is awesome. Tyler says we got a party on our hands, and we absolutely do, man. This is crazy. Thank you, Gene. Really appreciate the kind words. Gavin says you'll be near 600 by the end of April, brother. Yeah, 520 right now feels really good. I think what happens with YouTube is just the more you keep on going, as far as like earning those subs, like each milestone you hit, I would imagine they're probably sharing it with more people. What's happening, Brett from Good Real Hunting? Love seeing you in the chat, man. Thank you so much for coming by. I love what you and Brad do over there on your channel. You guys do such a great job interacting with your audience and keeping things really fun. So definitely an inspiration for what we do here at the channel. Really appreciate your support as well. Not only giving me a shout out here or there, but also letting me kind of talk a little bit about my channel in the chat. I always try to skate around that as gently as possible because I don't want to be spamming anyone's chat, but I also feel like I'm becoming a bigger part of the community. So if it happens to get mentioned, it's not the biggest deal. But anyways, really appreciate you guys for being so great. If you are not subbed over at Good Real Hunting, what are you doing? Get over there, give them a sub, and then come right back here into the chat. What was I going to... the way that I feel like, YouTube kind of, they push you a little bit. I looked at every week they give me like analytics as to like how people are finding me. And more lately, they're telling me that people are finding me from the front page. So that means that they're basically recommending me to people that are watching videos, similar in nature. So maybe if you're watching Drum Dums or Wolfman or TSL or Dave or Good Real Hunting, and then you click that reload button on the front screen of YouTube, then one of my videos might pop up even if you're not subbed. So excuse me, that's really cool. I think that's it's encouraging. And yeah, let's just keep on moving forward, and yeah, maybe we can hit that 1,000 mark by August. That would be incredible. Let's see here. Da 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 da. The Burning and The Prowler for sure are Robert the Wolfman's underrated slashers. Yep, yep. Really appreciate that, Brett. Thank you for the congratulations, sir. Gary wants to know if I'm into Power Rangers. I am not into Power Rangers. They got popular when I was in about 6th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. But even at that point, I was starting to get into like punk rock and just starting to kind of move on to things that were a little more grown up. So, you know, the Ninja Turtles were like, that was like my thing as a little kid. That was sort of, you know, people got into Power Rangers and then the next generation got into Pokemon. Like, I got into like the last like little kid thing that I really got into was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But then, you know, I got into like comic books and stuff. I just never really enjoyed the Power Rangers very much. I watched Voltron as a kid, which is a great like anime that was brought over to the States. And I felt like Power Rangers was basically just like a really corny version of Voltron. So nothing against anyone that likes it, or I mean, more power to you. If you enjoy something, like the fact that I, you know, might have missed it or might have been too old for it at the time, whatever. You know, it's like what you like, and make no apologies for it, right? That's the way that I feel. Lord Kev says, I'm an Ohio guy. He said, check out Davy's stream, and you said the M word. Yeah. Hey, but you know what, Lord Kev, I didn't grow up in that area, so I'm not really like, I'm cool with everyone. And as far as the whole Ohio-Michigan rivalry goes, especially with football, I mean, you guys had our number for a good 20 years. So the fact that Michigan's had like a good few years here, it doesn't even begin to balance out the scales. So, you know, I know it's got to suck for you guys to lose those games, but you still have our number, so to speak, anyways. Let's see here. Favorite out of the big horror icons? That's easy, Ashton. My favorite is Michael Myers. He is my boy. But I probably watch Friday the 13th a little more often because I can just put any one of those movies on in the background and do chores in the house or cook or whatever. So if I'm going to watch a Halloween movie, I'm probably going to like be a little more picky choosy, pick one that I really want to watch and sit down and actually soak it in. Because I think some of the lesser sequels in the Halloween series are more difficult to enjoy for me than the lesser sequels in something like Friday the 13th. Like I could watch like Jason Goes to Hell and have a fun enough time with it. But something like even like Halloween 5, like it just bores me and puts me to sleep. But Michael is my guy. Michael likes to send me Michigan stuff just to poke the bear. So Michael, are you in Michigan? Let me know. Good Real Hunting, any horror movie that had a big impact on your life. And his example is The Conjuring helped him find some of his best friends ever. Yeah, Brett, I would say having a big impact on my life. So there's a couple. The original Evil Dead and really like Romero's first 3 zombie films. So the original Evil Dead, I think I had seen maybe like a little bit of Army of Darkness on like TV at some point as a kid. I know my brother Rob like quoted the "Give me some sugar, baby," like quoted that when I was a kid, and I didn't know what it was from. So I didn't know that Evil Dead was necessarily tied to Army of Darkness. But what happened is me and my friends, when I was in like, you know, we're probably 16 years old. I think we were at that age where a couple of us were driving. So like sophomores or juniors in high school. We went and we rented the first Evil Dead film. I had been chatting with a guy that lived in Quebec, and he recommended like that all it was the trilogy at that point, recommended it to me. And so we went and we rented the first Evil Dead. We had a friggin' blast. Like we were just like, this is amazing. Like what a wild movie. And then we went back to Blockbuster, rented Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, and we stayed up till like 4 a.m. and watched all of the movies. So that's a memorable night. I'll never forget that. And then moving forward, like every year after that, when we were in high school, I would host an evening at my parents' house where we would watch all 3 Evil Dead films. And Evil Dead, the very first one, was one of those movies that really made me appreciate, filmmaking and how creative people could be, especially when they had a limited budget and a limited crew. And I felt like what Sam Raimi and the crew did on that film, there's just something so punk rock about their approach. So, and at that time I was, playing in punk rock bands and in love with the music. So to see something in the film world, which I was really into as a fan, but to see it come across as punk rock to me was massive. The first Evil Dead film changed the way I looked at movies forever moving forward. Like, it absolutely changed everything. And I was already into stuff like Halloween and Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street at that point. But seeing Evil Dead was a totally different breed of horror film for me, and it changed everything. Also, when I first saw Night of the Living Dead, I was about the same age, and that it blew my mind that a black and white film from 1968 could still be so good, so powerful, so scary, have such awesome looking zombies. I fell in love with what George could do and what he could say in his films without really hitting you over the head with it, So yeah, those are my two there. And that's awesome that The Conjuring was a big part of you finding some of your best friends ever, man. That is a good movie. That's kind of fits in that whole, like, The Changeling sort of, those like slow burn kind of haunted house kind of movies, which I've kind of found, like, as I've gotten older, that I really like that subgenre. I didn't really ever think that I did or notice that I did, but the older I've gotten, I'm like, oh, other than slashers, like, that's kind of the one. And, demonic possession to a degree, because I love those Evil Dead films. Let's see here. Stir of Echoes is fantastic. You're right, Robert. It is awesome. I think Stir of Echoes is better than The Sixth Sense. And it was written a long time before. I know the movie came out after The Sixth Sense, so a lot of people felt like it was just riding on the coattails. But I think Richard Matheson wrote Stir of Echoes in like 1954. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys can Google it, but I'm pretty sure it was like right in the mid 50s. And that is a creepy, creepy story. Kevin Bacon's awesome. We'll get to him here in a minute. Tyler says Fear Street Part 2 made him cry. I need to see those Fear Street movies. I've yet to see them. Raymond, you're right. It was Chris Elliott. Gary doesn't like even Airplane or Naked Gun. Oh my gosh, Gary. No, I'm just joking. Army of Darkness should have been called Medieval Dead. You're right. I think they did call it that while they were producing it. And for some reason, they changed it to, I don't know if it was just that they wanted people to know it was going to be a different tone, or they didn't want people to think it was going to be a straight up horror. But there's even a version of it that calls it Bruce Campbell versus Army of Darkness, which is interesting. Instead of saying like Ash versus Army of Darkness. Brett, easily my least favorite. Oh, I must have missed something here. All right, but I got to keep on going. Jason is Gary's guy. All right. What's happening, Castellar? Danielle Garcia, thank you so much for hanging out in the Movie Punks chat last night. That was awesome. Brett lives only an hour away from the original cabin in Morristown, Tennessee. That's right. Huh, Brett? Morristown, Tennessee, the original cabin? I believe so. Let's see here. Yeah. Brett, haven't you ever visited? And I think Ashton, I think it burned down. But I think, yeah. Oh, yeah. Brett is saying that right here. I've heard that maybe like the chimney or like the part of the fireplace is still there, but I wouldn't be surprised if fans have gone and like taken every piece of that cabin that was left behind. So, but yeah, that cabin is a big part of that first movie. I mean, it's a real location. In Evil Dead 2, they reconstructed the cabin inside of a middle school gymnasium. There's a couple shots where Ash is running through the cabin. You can see that they didn't finish the ceiling or roof of the cabin, and you can see like the rafters of the gym like above where the ceiling should be. So that's pretty funny. They did a good job, I think, recreating the cabin in Evil Dead 2. But something about that first film just feels so real because it was. Superstition from the 80s is a dark poltergeist witch film. Castellar Danielle Garcia just drops these little IMDb like trivia bombs. It's awesome. Nomads with Pierce Brosnan is a creepy horror film. I've yet to see any of these. You should hit me up with a DM and let me know so I can catch up. Brooke Scarlett is in the house. Great to see you, Brooke. Brooke, I interact with Brooke along with all these other great people, in a bunch of other chats. So it's really awesome to see folks coming over giving the channel a chance. And it's great to just be able to show my personality a little bit more to you guys. I feel like it works so much better than just words on a screen. So really like getting, at least for you guys, to be able to get to know me a little bit better. And I think I get to know you a little bit more when you pop on over here in the chat and interact with the streams. The Changeling from Castellar Danielle Garcia. We talked about The Changeling early on. We were talking about underrated horror movies. So I had mentioned The Prowler and The Changeling. Those are two big ones for me. Absolutely. If anyone that likes haunted house kind of movies, or maybe you're looking for a good horror movie that you've never seen before and haven't heard much about, I think The Changeling is a really good way to go. Allie Girl is in the chat. What's happening, Allie? So great to see you, miss. And it's so awesome that you got the Slaughtered Lamb membership gifted to you today in the chat. It was really cool when Darren was like, I think this is the first time we've seen Allie. And I'm like, man, I hope that she found TSL in some way, because either I mentioned it or it just happened to be recommended to you from following my channel. So really cool to see you pop up over there. And Allie says, I cried on Never Hike Alone when Diane saw Mark. Yeah, I think some of those more emotional moments, especially Allie, you're a mother. So, I could totally understand how, something like that is, would affect you in a different way, right? And it is a really powerful moment that, where you're kind of seeing all the bodies in the aftermath. And a really good performance it's Anna Campbell, is that her name? Really great performance by her there, especially in that moment. Ashton says, Brooke, Michael, Freddy, and Jason for me. Also prefer Ghostface and Chucky over Jason. And yeah, and that's the thing too, is I kind of like them all, Ashton. It's tough for me to rank. I can rank the movies a lot easier than I can rank the slashers by themselves, for sure. Yeah, Brooke, thank you for the flames and the rock and roll devil horns and all that good stuff. Yeah, we're doing what we can here to keep everything going. And yeah, I guess in the spirit of keeping things going, because I've kind of just been, this is great though. If I'm spending 45 minutes just chatting with you guys here and it takes a little bit longer to get to the agenda, the agenda is whatever, right? It's way more important to build this sense of community. You guys hear me say this all the time, or you see it in my posts, that, the priority is connecting with you guys and building that community for sure. Let's see here. Okay. Do I like It's Me, Billy? I really, really love It's Me, Billy, Raymond. Yeah. I like it so much that I decided to become an associate producer on It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, which I think is, we just saw a little teaser. I know it was a tiny bit, but I do think it looks better than the first chapter. So that's the really cool thing, especially about fan films, and people that are, not to say that these guys are getting into filmmaking, but getting into it on that larger scale, is you make your first film and everything you learn from that, all the bumps in the road that you hit while you're doing that, you're able to take all that experience, and your next film isn't going to have those issues. You're probably going to find newer issues that you run into, but especially when you bring back that cast and bring back that crew, I fully expect It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 to be maybe twice as good as Chapter 1, just because of the experience that everyone has. And, similarly to that, when we covered the Uncharted The Oxus Redemption on Friday, when we did that watch along, what Lux Media did there cost $7,000. So go back and check that out, or go to their site, go to their YouTube and watch the film. It'll blow your mind that costs $7,000. So they're putting together something called Gotham Noir, which is kind of like a Gotham by Gaslight sort of movie, where so it's going to be like the 19 teens, and Chris Stanley, you guys know him as Cosplay Chris, he's going to play Bruce Wayne and Batman. And man, I fully expect that movie to blow the Uncharted movie out of the water, for the same reasons, just for how much they learned from doing Uncharted and applying all of that to Gotham Noir. And I think it's brilliant, because they're tackling something that's really huge in Batman, but I think their audience is going to be really wide, especially because of what they were able to do with Uncharted. And they're going to do a crowdfunding campaign in May. So I'm going to be on the forefront, carrying that torch and leading that mob. So Once they have the crowdfunding up and running, we'll be covering it on the channel. I'll let you guys know how you can get involved with that, because there's nothing cooler than supporting independent artists and, you know, people that are making films and making films for us, for the audience, you know. So I'll definitely share that when the time comes. Gary wants to know what I think of RoboCop. I love RoboCop. I think the first RoboCop movie gets better every time I watch it, and I really enjoy RoboCop 2 as well. I think maybe RoboCop 2 drags a little bit, and it certainly is a darker, more depressing, gloomy view at humanity than the first film, but I adore that first film. Kurtwood Smith as Clarence Boddicker is my favorite action villain of all time. I think Hans Gruber is awesome in Die Hard, but to me, I'll take Clarence Boddicker all day. Bitches leave. I mean, come on, the guy is amazing. The Never Hike Alone crew should get hired for Friday the 13th in theaters. Absolutely, Ashton. I totally agree. Raymond can't wait for It's Me, Billy Chapter 2 and The Last Nightmare Part 1. I'm looking forward to that one as well. I jumped on and supported The Last Nightmare Part 1 as well. So, you know, I think Braden is just getting better. From what we saw in that teaser, I think the teaser looks better than the Haddonfield Nightmare. So again, another example of a budding filmmaker that's just getting better as they go, right? And I think Peter Jurek coming back and playing John is, man, he's got a really good likeness to Josh Hartnett, and I think he's a really good actor for sure. All right. Did I have a great weekend, Gene? I did. It's still going, and you know what? It's great in large part because of every single one of you guys. So thank you so much. Not that weekends sitting around lounging and doing nothing aren't fun, but I'm really enjoying being active, and just I feel like I'm building relationships and friendships with all of you guys, and I'll take all of that I can get, absolutely. Gotham Noir will definitely be their best work. I think so too, Tyler. And Tyler is going to be, you're working on that film, right, Tyler? So yeah, Tyler did visual effects on Uncharted: The Oxus Redemption, and he's part of that team that's going over to Gotham Noir as well. And my brother Matt, who was in here earlier as Matt Conway Art, you can follow his YouTube channel as well. He does visual effects and 3D matte painting and all that kind of good stuff. He's going to be working on Gotham Noir as well, and maybe, just maybe, I don't want to blow anything or spoil anything, but I just may be part of that crew as well. So I'm really excited to see what the possibilities there will look like as we get closer to production. So keep an eye out for that. All right, guys. Gary says, I love to create stories, and I'm definitely going to make me a slasher story. Yeah, dude, that's, you know, writing, I think even just like, even if it's something that you just do for yourself, it's like a really good exercise, right? Like writing is going to make you understand language better. It's going to make you understand your own thoughts better. And I encourage anyone that's writing to edit almost constantly. Like they say that it's like all in the rewrite. It's all in the edit, you know, put down your idea the way that it comes to you, and then look at it the next day or something, and you might say to yourself, you know what, I can take that word out. Maybe I should use this word instead. Or, oh, you know, I use that same word like a few times here, so maybe I need to think about rearranging a little bit. You kind of give it, take a step back and try to give it a little bit of an audience perspective in your own head, which is tough to do. But I think with enough practice and being able to just kind of drop your ego, I think that's a big thing, is you have to be able to let go of your ego and try to review your work as honestly as you can. So yeah. Have I seen any of the Trauma movies? I'm a big fan of them. They're yeah, Toxic Avenger is really fun. I think I've seen what is it? Is it Surf Nazis Must Die? Something like that. Something like that. I might be confusing it with the Dead Kennedys song Nazi Punks Fuck Off. But I've seen that movie. I've also seen terrible Trauma movies like Redneck Zombies and that kind of stuff. Tromeo and Juliet. You know, Trauma's like, yeah, it's beyond schlock, but every now and then they do put out something that is charming. I've not seen The Quarry, Gary. Never seen that. Favorite horror remake? Ashton, that's a good one. That Ring remake is really good. if you're gonna call John Carpenter's The Thing a remake, which like I guess it kind of is, but to me it's a totally different movie. That's sort of like the easy, like the layup. I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake from '03 was pretty good. I think I might enjoy the Friday the 13th remake from '09 that Marcus Nispel, the same director who did TCM '03, did Friday the 13th '09, and I really enjoy that movie. I think it has pretty much everything that you want from a Friday the 13th movie, and with some hot, sweaty WB actors. So, not so bad. Yeah, Brooke, we're right there. I'm right there. It's like you took the words out of my mouth, Brooke. Yeah, and I think I probably enjoy Friday the 13th a little bit more because I think I just like Jason more than Leatherface. And it's a little less grim, even though it is, grim enough for sure. Cool, guys. So let's kind of blow through some of this stuff. I mean, these live streams that we do, I do sort of set up an agenda, but also, I really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out, and I want to make it well worth your time. And also, we sort of do like a roundup of what we did on the channel, and I should just start assuming that you guys are watching every video I put out on the channel, right? Even the pre-recorded stuff. Please tell me you're watching those as well. Need all the support we can get. Hey, even if you just step in and watch the first 30 seconds, if it's not for you, just click that like button and get the heck out. That even works for me as well. So yeah, this week we covered, boom, the Maxine trailer. Everyone was waiting for that one for so long. Let me know, guys, in the chat what you think of X and Pearl. Which one is your favorite out of those two? And, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you looking forward to Maxine? And do you think it's going to be better than X and Pearl? Let's see here. Blake from All the Good Names Are Taken podcast. Hey, Dave, could you run blocker while I haul 400 cases of Coors east of Texarkana? Absolutely. I will be. We will Smokey and the Bandit the hell out of that. Gosh, Sally Field is just so friggin' cute in that movie, isn't she? That movie's really fun. Kate and I had never seen it, but Kate and I rented out a cabin about a year and a half ago, kind of near where the Grand Canyon is. It's actually right off the historic Route 66. So the road kind of moved. Now they have a spot that's like Route 66, but we stayed on the original path of it. And we stayed in this cabin that was it started out as one building that was like a bed and breakfast, and they built on other rooms. So it's a really cool cabin. Forest on one side, and we're talking about farmland where the closest neighbor is a block away, so it was a really cool intimate setting. No Wi-Fi, but they had a bunch of movies, like DVDs. So we put on Smokey and the Bandit. Neither one of us had seen it. I brought my guitar. Man, that was a great trip. I was able to just put in some earbuds and I literally one night I just sat by it. They had this whole wall of windows in front of the house, and the moon was huge and it was out. And I just sat in a chair and listened to music until 3 a.m, just enjoying that. And that's one of those things where I'm just such a music junkie. I think a lot of you guys could probably appreciate that too. The opportunity to just kind of shut off and get away, not be able to use the internet to just, it can be a lot of fun, but just to sit there and kind of connect with an older way of life. But yeah, Blake, anytime you want to run some whiskey or some moonshine or some cases of Coors, let's get it on, bud. But yeah, let's see here. Haven't watched any yet, but plan to soon. I'm guessing you're talking about X and Pearl. Brooke can't wait for Maxine. X is her favorite so far. Yeah, I think Maxine does look pretty damn good. I had mentioned, Kevin Bacon earlier when we were talking about Stir of Echoes, and I had no idea that he was in Maxine. So really cool to see him in this film. I think he's one of those guys that can just do any genre of film. And he seems to be totally game to take it all on. Gene says, I did not like the '09 Friday remake or movie. The idea of Jason having a hostage. Yeah, well, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I liked it, Gene, is I thought they did a good job of giving Jason some personality without it getting, we don't really see his process. But I do love that whole trapdoor spider kind of vibe that Jason has. I think I've said it before on the channel and probably in my ranking video for Friday the 13th. Jason, it feels like Camp Crystal Lake is Jason's spider web, and like if you come into that area, he's just gonna wrap you up in his silk and that's it, you're done, you know. So I kind of like that approach to Jason because I like movies that take some chances, especially if they seem properly motivated, and that one certainly worked for me. Yeah. Blake says I watched Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with my kids. I like those Sonic movies, they're fun. Sonic 3 is coming, that's awesome. Oh, Raymond was talking about my video. Okay, cool. Looks Jalo style. Bud, you're right. Welcome to the chat, Bud. Great to see you, man. Enjoy what you guys do over there at Bud and Blaster. And I saw you on Nick Push's channel the other day doing what you guys were talking about. I remember you ripping on Megan from Jason Lives. It broke my heart, but hey, that's the great thing about fandom, right? We don't all have to have the same opinions. And we've said it before here on the channel, like I find it invigorating and fascinating to get to know why people feel the way they feel. Like for me, if somebody is like, oh, this is just shit, it's just like, okay, well, if you can't really articulate it, then it's tough for me to like buy into your opinion. But Bud, you do a great job at articulating why you don't like something. So, and you stir the pot. You stir the pot, Bud. Yeah, Tyler, it is cool to see that Jim Carrey is game for those movies, and I think he really brings it. I think Jim Carrey's as a kid, he was just such a huge performer for the generation of kids that I was a part of. So yeah, you're right, Bud. The truth does hurt. And then after doing the Maxine trailer, we reacted to the Joker Folie à Deux trailer, which I thought looked really cool. I know for some people, maybe the whole like 15 songs thing or just the movie, like maybe the fact that it's a musical could be off-putting. But again, like I don't really think we need another Joker movie that's just like the last one. That one is great as is. And with this one, let's see something new and let's see more comic book movies that take more chances, I think. And also, you guys know that I'm a big music guy. So when they talk about how in the trailer, there's a line about how we use music to like heal ourselves and mend like our psyche and that kind of thing. And I completely agree. I think music is very therapeutic. And I always say that like even listening to a sad song when you're sad, to me, it makes me feel better because it's like, oh, this person or these people went through this really sad experience or something that was really tough on them. They were able to create something out of it, to create something so beautiful out of it. So I think even sad songs can be uplifting because it makes you realize that you're not alone. So before I start crying just from talking about music, we'll move on. But yeah, let me know, guys, what you thought of, Joker from 2019, if you liked that movie, and, what you're thinking about seeing Harley and Joker here together, Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, they look great together. That makeup for his version of Joker is incredible. Raymond says, Liar, Liar is my favorite Jim Carrey movie. That's a really good one. Gary doesn't want a Joker musical. Okay. Well, no worries. You'll still have all that other Joker material, and Joaquin won't be the first one or the last one to play Joker, right? So that's the cool thing too, is like there's plenty for everyone. Let's see here. Yeah, Allie saying what's up to Blake and Bud. Thank you so much. Allie is the reason why Blake and Bud are here. I have no doubt at all. She is the reason that I found their channels. So Allie is a pillar of the YouTube audience community, guys. She hops around from channel to channel. She shares everything that she loves, the people that she likes listening to and spending time with. And that's amazing. It takes dedication, and you can tell there's a genuine love and passion because she keeps on doing it. So that's awesome. Let's see here. When it gets closer to Christmas, you should see Anna and the Apocalypse if you haven't seen it. Okay, I will check that out. And then, yeah, after Joker, let's see here. We did, of course, I had mentioned before, we did the live watch along of Uncharted: The Oxus Redemption. That was awesome. Tyler, who did VFX and is in the chat room now, hung out with us the whole time. Sarah and Daniello, the directors of the film, hung out with us the whole time. And Chris Stanley even popped in for a little bit too, and some other folks that we were, surprising and encouraging to see all sorts of people hop in the chat. That was great fun, and kind of catapulted a whole conversation that Daniello and Sarah and I had after the episode. So we started talking about Gotham Noir, and some exciting things are in the works. So and yeah, really appreciate what those guys do. After the episode, or after the live stream was done, like, Chris sent me a really sweet little voice message on Instagram. It was a really great gesture. Like I said during the stream, Chris is so successful. He's so well known, like, around the world for his cosplay and everything. And he's been getting into this acting thing for a while, and I think he's got real chops. But the most impressive thing to me is that all the success he's had, the heights that he's found as a content creator and now as a performer, but he still carves out time for everyone. He is one of the most friendly, if not the most friendly, content creator that I've been fortunate enough to sort of get to know as this journey goes. So I think that's really encouraging too. And it makes me want to support people more when you find out they're actually, like, they're good people too. And Allie and, Blake, you guys can, attest to this with Vincent DeSanti from Womp Stomp Films, that he's the same kind of way. Somebody who works really hard, extremely intelligent, extremely gifted and talented, and still such a sweet person that no matter how busy they are, they carve out time for other people. We talk about this all the time on the channel about lifting each other up and building that community. Those guys are great examples of that. Of course, Blake and Allie and Bud, awesome examples of that as well. Christian from Planet CHH was in the chat last night for Movie Punks. He jumped in last week and really helped us get to that finish line of hitting the 500 milestone. So yeah, the support is amazing, and I'm finding some really, really great people on YouTube. It's something that I tried so hard for a lot of my life to make it in music and all that. And music is really tough. It's a totally different animal. What I found, at least in my experience with music, is people are way more competitive and not nearly as friendly and inclusive as far as, like, feeling like there's a piece of the pie for everybody. But I think here on YouTube, most creators feel like there's a piece of the pie for everyone. So that's awesome. Let's see here what else you guys got going. Tyler's curious if they'll ever do an R-rated adaptation of the Mask comic book. I have that comic and I love it, and it is R-rated. Some of the stuff they took and they put in the movie, but they definitely PG'd it down. Especially Tyler, the mechanics. They definitely did a PG version of that. And yeah, in the comic book, he, like, goes back to a mean teacher from his grade school and he kills her in front of her students. That comic is wild. And I think there's like 3 different people that play the Mask in the comic book, because it drives others to, like, murder the person that has the mask so they can then take it. It's this, like, kind of sick thing that it turns these people into. Let's see here. Allie is the reason I check hockey scores. And I don't give a shit about hockey. Yeah, I really like the Capitals, so I follow hockey a little bit. They've got a couple games left, and it's going to be crucial for them to win those games to make the playoffs, so I'm going to be paying attention. And yeah, Allie is a huge Stars fan. And I bet it has nothing to do with the fact that those guys are ruggedly handsome, tough, and all scarred up, right, Allie? It has nothing to do with that. Gary asked me, are you really going to see the Crow remake? Well, Gary, I will say this. I did grow up, in the time when the original came out with Brandon Lee, and I do like that film. But I can totally appreciate that with this new film, they're trying to reach an audience that's not me. Like, I can totally get it. I see what they're going for. And I'm not super attached to the original, so to me, like, my feelings aren't wrapped up in it, right? So I don't know if I'll go see it in the theater. I guess it all sort of depends, because the theater is so expensive, right? I would like to. It's my best viewed video on the channel, that reaction that I did. So that trailer reaction's at like 1.3 thousand, and that's my most viewed video. So even though we're sitting here at 520 subs, like, you know, the views on every video aren't really popping off. So maybe it would be a good idea for me to watch it and put out a review to follow up on that. So sometimes putting out videos sometimes the want to put out a video would actually motivate me to go see a film in the theater so I can talk about it on the channel. And it's controversial. I get it. But like I said, I'm not emotionally tied to the original. And I don't think that they're trying to say the original is always going to exist, right? Like when this movie comes out with Bill Skarsgård, they're not taking Brandon Lee's The Crow off the shelf. Like they're not going to replace him with Bill Skarsgård using AI. So you can always go back and revisit that other film. I would say there are far more offensive like remakes out there than what that Crow movie looks like to me. But that's just one man's opinion. That's it, you know. Gene is a Rangers fan. You guys are doing very, very well. You got to keep it up, though. The playoffs are a grind. It's the real season, so you got to look out there. Blake says, all right, Davey, give your wife some neck sugar for me. I got to go be a dad for a bit. Well, thank you so much for dropping by, Blake. I'll definitely tell Kate that you said hi and give her some neck sugar for you. Absolutely. So, Paul, the Crow remake is coming out. I think that got pushed to August. Allie says Dave McRae is a big hockey fan. He likes the Sabres. Yeah, that's a rough one for the Sabres. They were like an okay team in the early 90s, I think, and that was it. Gary says, sorry, I'm a guy that likes originality in movies. Well, here's the thing that's something to consider, Gary. The original Crow movie is not original, right? Because it's based on a comic book. So technically, it's not original, right? Because it is based off something. So they didn't write The Crow for the screen. And every comic book movie that you love, right? Not original. A lot of those characters have existed since the 60s. So they're 60 years old now, right? So they were original at some point. But yeah, I think that's something to consider. And what I try to do, especially now that I'm in this world of content creating and connecting with people, is I do try to take a step back and look at things. You know, I try to broaden my lens when I look at something and not be, even though like the reactionary, over the top kind of stuff might, you know, get people a little more excited in the comment section. An important part of my channel here is that I'm true to myself and that I don't just put something on or fake it just to get views. I'm not really into that. You know, guys, I'll be 42 in next month, and so I'm not looking to like chase a bunch of stuff that's just not me. Like I'm pretty comfortable with who I am, and I just want to give you guys the genuine article, you know. He's Canadian, of course. He likes hockey, absolutely. And you're right, bud. Halloween Ends has originality. It definitely takes some chances. I like Halloween Ends quite a bit, actually. And mostly because it takes chances and because I went into the movie knowing that it wasn't going to be focused on Michael. So if you go into the movie knowing that, it's a little more digestible. But I would take it over Halloween 5 or Resurrection. I would even take it over H2O because really H2O for me, it's about like the first act is really good and the rest of it just sort of falls apart from there. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Gary. Movie-wise, it is original. It's the first movie, but again, it's just sort of like everything kind of comes from something, and you never know. So let's talk real quick about a movie that just celebrated an anniversary last month, and its original is celebrating an anniversary next month. When Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead was in pre-production and production, I was super skeptical. The original Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite films of all time, so I was, I just thought for sure it was going to suck. This remake's going to be terrible. And I loved it so much the first time I saw it that I came back to the theater the next day and saw it again. I watched it twice in 24 hours. And I think his Dawn of the Dead remake pays homage to what George did, and it tries something new and different. So that's an example right there, I think, right off the top of my head. I was so skeptical, and lesson learned. I was wrong. It's okay to say that. It's okay to not just die on a hill just because at one point in your life you said something. It doesn't mean you can't ever change your mind or grow or learn or give something a chance. So who knows, man? Like maybe that Crow movie would be like really fun. And even if you still prefer the Brandon Lee version, like I don't know, like I said, like Halloween's my favorite film horror film series, but I'd be more likely to put on a Friday the 13th movie just because it's just a little more light to me. It's just, you know, easier. So who knows? Even though you want the atmosphere of the Brandon Lee version, maybe this Bill Skarsgård version is like, you know, it looks like a John Wick kind of movie. So it's a totally different experience. It's not trying to copy what they did, you know, back in the 90s. Davey, you don't look a day over 25. Oh, Paul, you're too kind. And Ashton, I'm right there with you. Ends is in, you said it's in your top 5. Yeah, I think Ends is like somewhere between 3 and 5 for me. I really like it a lot. I think it looks gorgeous. I think the performances are great. I think the main thing that people just can't get over is that Michael is sidelined. So, and that's a pretty big thing to have to get over, for sure. I totally get it. So yeah, guys, let's check out what else we got going here. Last night, Foz Rotten and I debuted our brand new show. It's going to be live every single time. We covered, the show's called Movie Punks. We covered Night of the Demons 2, which was directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, who some of you might know as the director of Leprechaun 3, which is, I think, a really fun movie in that series. Of course, it's completely silly and over the top, but it knows exactly what it is, and he brings all of that energy to Night of the Demons 2 as well. It doesn't try to capture as much of a serious tone as the original. It has a lot of fun. You guys can go over and check that out. I'll make sure once the stream is over, I don't know if I put the link in the description below. I did not put the link in there, but once this stream is over, I'll pop in the link for all of these videos just so you guys can quickly click over there and check it out, especially for you folks watching the stream after the fact. But yeah, if you're a fan of movies with edge, that's kind of going to be the topic for us. So we did Night of the Demons 2 because it's celebrating its 30th anniversary here within the next couple days. And our next episode, going back to Dawn of the Dead, our next episode is debuting on May 11th. That was the day 45 years ago that Dawn of the Dead made its way to Hollywood for its California debut. That was like the national rollout. So yeah, we're going to be celebrating 45 years of George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Romero is one of my favorite directors. If he's not my favorite, he's one of my favorite directors of all time. And especially his first like 3 or 4 zombie movies are tops for me. I love a whole bunch of his other stuff. Martin, if you haven't seen Martin, it's really damn good. He did The Crazies. He made the original Crazies, which is a very creepy movie. Has a similar look to Dawn of the Dead. And there's also those themes of like mistrust of the government, stuff like that. So, a Romero film through and through, but we'll be covering Dawn of the Dead on May 11th. So really looking forward to that. Movie Date with Davey and Kate is coming back this Thursday, y'all. So you guys voted on, there was a poll on Twitter, a poll on YouTube, and one in a story on Instagram. So we got a whole bunch of votes. I think probably close to about 75 votes or so. And Friday the 13th Part 2 was the overwhelming winner of that poll. So clearly we have a horror-driven audience. Ain't nothing wrong with that. The other movies in the poll were Fletch from 1985, Beetlejuice from 1988, and 10 Things I Hate About You from 1999. So what we're going to do with these polls is the first place will be the video we do next. The second place will be the video after that. And then we'll put third and fourth place like back into another poll. So because the whole idea for Movie Date with Davey and Kate is that there are movies that Kate and I are both really familiar with. So, there's more of a limitation, right? Because we both have to have kind of extensive knowledge. So, but we definitely want you guys not only involved in the chat because this is a live show as well, but we want you guys giving some input on the films we're going to cover, so that way you can get excited for the episode. Really what we do on this show, Our first episode covered the very first Scream film, which Kate and I are both huge fans of. We talk about like the memory of seeing the movie for the first time. Of course, we go over the characters. We go over like the kills, just all that kind of like. Depending on the movie, of course, there may be some different categories, but the idea is to kind of have a stream of consciousness conversation. There's definitely like review elements, but it's not like a broken down like part by part review. And also, jumping in with you guys can be the best kind of like distracting fun because we get to see what you guys are saying about the movie and respond to that too. So yeah, the next episode that will be this Thursday. What day is that? Let's see here. So that will be Thursday the 18th. Wait, why is it in May? This is ridiculous. Oh my gosh, this is so confusing, this calendar on this computer. I'm bailing from that one right now. That's absurd. All right, so yeah, it will be on Thursday the 18th. Thanks for bearing with me on that one, guys. So yeah, Thursday the 18th will be Friday the 13th, part 2, movie date with Davey and Kate. And then after that, on 4/20, on Saturday, 4/20, we're doing a little something different with Movie Date with Davey and Kate because we're going to do a live watch along of Grandma's Boy from 2006, one of the quintessential stoner movies of all time. Kate and I, if you guys don't already know this, Kate and I are big time cannabis fans. We smoke a little bit here and there, but really, we hit those vape carts. We like to get high quality stuff. And really for us, it's like a, kind of a nighttime reward for a day well spent sort of thing. So not looking to live in a haze all the time, but certainly we will be living in that haze while watching Grandma's Boy with you guys. That movie is available on Hulu. So, when you're like, hopefully you guys have Hulu or you have a relative that can maybe even just give you access. We won't be able to show the movie on screen like we can with the fan films because the fan films don't have that copyright, whereas Grandma's Boy certainly does. So you'll just be kind of watching our reaction, and I'm going to do my best to get like the little ticker that kind of shows the time code on there. So if you guys jump in the middle of the stream, you can find out where we are in the movie. So let's see here. You guys are kind of talking amongst yourselves. That's great. Is everybody being nice about Halloween Ends? Allie says, love Movie Date with Davey and Kate. Oh, that's so sweet. Allie, we love it too. I'm so happy that, it took a little bit of planning and a little bit of convincing, to get Kate on the channel. But I think the timing just worked out perfectly. I think things happen for a reason, certainly. So I'm happy that we're getting going on the show, and I can't wait to see it. Like, just like with Movie Punks, I can't wait to see each episode just get, have us be more comfortable with one another, more comfortable interacting with you guys, and just see the show grow collectively. It'll be great. Paul says, Davey bringing back that epic shirt. Yeah, I've got, I really like that shirt. I think that's a Volcom shirt, and that's a really cool one. Kate got that for me, so that's all her. I do things like buy these ridiculous kinds of shirts, that get you attention when you're walking around Costco. But yeah, they really appreciate that. Frank Riker from Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast, he's a big fan of my shirts too. I didn't know that my shirts were a thing, but it's great to see some love out there for the Davey style. I got a little style. Gary says, all right, I'm signing out, Davey. Love you. You're a great friend to me. See you around. Take care, Gary. Love you too, man. Have a great rest of your night, and we will see you next time, man. Let's see here. Love the title of Movie Date with Davey and Kate. It rhymes. Yep. Well, and that's like one of the things here when setting everything up is like, YouTube is technically like amateur, right? But the way that I wanted to approach everything is I wanted show titles that were like easy to remember or catchy. I want to give you guys the most professional experience, or, the most professional kind of performance that I can. So the experience here, whenever you come into the chat or you watch one of the pre-recorded videos, that you feel like you're actually getting like real entertainment value. And I guess like here on the channel, we're just trying to find that perfect blend between that entertainment value and some of that professionalism, but also, being just ourselves and being comfortable with you guys too, and allowing some of the more like whatever awkward moments or just like the real life kind of stuff get through as well. So yeah, we've got the physical media show-off show, which I really want to bring back. I had that a lot at the beginning of the channel's life. The views weren't really there, but now that we have more subscribers, I'd like to bring it back because we have a whole bunch of special edition vinyl that I'd really like to show off for you guys, and like movie releases, and just it's like going over to a friend's house after school and they show you a video game or a CD or something that you'd never heard of before. Just that kind of sharing aspect would be really cool, and I want to bring that back. And then we also have a show called I Finally Watched It, and that's where I watch like a classic movie that I've never seen before. One of my first episodes was E.T. I had never seen E.T. until a few months ago. So that's a show I really like doing for a couple reasons, right? Because I get to watch something I've never seen. I get to finally see what all the hype is about, and then get to share those thoughts with you guys. So it's really, really fun stuff. And yeah, glad you guys dig that. And hopefully we get some stoners here for the live watch along of Grandma's Boy on 420. That's on Saturday. Speaking of Saturday, something I teased last week is that I am doing a little something with Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards. Actually, you know what? He sent me an updated version of this thumbnail. I should have put it in there, but it totally slipped my mind when I was putting together everything for the live show here. But right in that bottom right-hand corner, he put my Davey Death Ray logo. So we are going to cover, each one of us are coming to the table with a top 10 list of zombie movies. We're not sharing our list before we shoot the video, and we're going to hop on with each other to shoot that. It's going to be a pre-recorded video that'll be on Barry's channel, and we're going to shoot that on 420 before Kate and I do the live watch along. So really looking forward to that. I've been watching Barry for probably like a decade now. We're really damn near close, and looked up to him for a long time. I love his insight to film. I feel like he covers movies, and he's kind of brought some movies back into the limelight that didn't really get all that attention. Like I hear him, I heard him talking about like movies like Urban Legend and especially The Faculty, like a lot longer before they kind of had this resurgence that I've been seeing lately. So really cool to be able to work with him. The collaborations that are starting to come in are just wild. This is something I've wanted to do ever since the channel started, and I knew I had to put in the groundwork, build the foundation, and show other content creators that not only am I, here to stay and in it to win it. I'm not trying to chase clout. I'm not trying to just get on someone else's channel, just to get those subs, but that I really am passionate about doing this, and I'm going to do it regardless. So it's really cool to see people recognize what we're doing, see something in the channel that they think is worthwhile, so they're out there sharing the channel as well, but then also take that next step and say, hey man, let's do something together. And Barry and I are talking about another show that could be maybe recurring, like, a few times a year. So we're putting together a little something for that where, we come to talk about movies that we have vastly different opinions on. And we're kind of toying around with the name of calling it like Why We're Wrong. And so we both get to tell each other like why the opinion is wrong, but the idea is that it's a very civil conversation, right? So if we covered something like H2O, which Barry is a huge fan of, and I'm, to me, it's towards the end of my ranking for the Halloween series, he lays out why he likes it, and then I lay out why I don't, but we both come with like, everything's well thought out. It's not just like, oh, the mask sucks. Because that's like, that doesn't mean anything. So don't want to spoil every little thing on that because we're just like kind of talking about it right now. But that's an idea that I'd really like to jump in with Barry and do something like that. I think it's really cool too because it's so easy online to get wrapped up in your feelings about a movie. Almost like people almost act like they made the movie. Like they get so upset about a negative opinion as if they were part of the project, which is kind of wild to me. So I think that would be kind of a refreshing thing to bring to YouTube, where people disagree and sort of map it out and don't get at each other's throats over it. And then we've got some fun stuff coming up on the channel. So Allie, I think drugs are bad, okay? Allie, I think that you brought something to my attention like a week and a half ago or something on Twitter. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it was somebody else, but you had posted something about like halfway to Halloween. Let me know there in the chat, because I had never thought about halfway to Halloween. It never even occurred to me to think about that date where you're like, sweet, we're halfway there. Maybe we can celebrate something, right? So I was thinking, I've been doing all these fan films, and I love doing these watch-alongs for fan films. So why not do something on that halfway to Halloween day where we put a poll out there where you guys can vote on the Halloween fan film that we'll cover on that live watch-along, which would be really cool. That means no favoritism for me, picking somebody that like I kind of know or at least am familiar with in the community. Like, I don't really know Braden Timmons like too well, but we bumped into each other at Halloween 45. We both live in the same area. We both live in the Phoenix area. So I've bumped into him at a convention here. I've seen him at press screenings when I go out with Cecil from the Horror Show channel to go check out movies before they're released. So we've had some interactions. I'm always jumping into his chats as well. I love what he and Destiny do over there on their, on their channel. So I didn't want to play like, as you guys can tell, like the movies I've been covering, the fan films I've been covering are people that I'm familiar with. And I was like, well, I kind of want to throw something to you guys so everyone else has a chance to sort of put out there what they want to see on the channel. I'm sure at some point, either way, we'll cover the Haddonfield Nightmare on the channel. But yeah, we're going to do a halfway to Halloween live watch along. I've got the entire thumbnail figured out here, people. The only thing missing is the movie, and I need you to help me decide on which movie we're gonna cover. So I put a poll up on the YouTube page, so you can see there right now. Halloween Night, is that from 2020? It's so small on my screen. Halloween Night is resoundingly the winner as of right now, and I think we've got, I checked this morning, there was something like 20 votes or something like that, so pretty good amount. I was actually kind of surprised because my community posts on YouTube really don't get too much attention very much, but maybe I need to start asking questions and doing polls just to get more engagement instead of just like throwing something on the wall and watching it slide down, So Allie, that was you. Okay, yes, that and Summerween. What's Summerween, Allie? Tell me about Summerween. Tell me, baby girl, because I need to know. So yeah, guys, hop on over to the channel's community page and put in your vote. I put the years next to each movie because when you're searching for fan films, like if you guys are like, oh, I haven't seen all of these and you want to check them out before you vote, or you're just curious, I put the years next to them because when you're searching for these movies, sometimes it's so tough to find the right one because there are a lot of fan films out there for Halloween, and a lot of them that just have like, Halloween Night, or what was the other one? The You Can't Kill the Boogie. Yeah. So, that way you guys can search these movies and, be able to watch them before voting. So Gene, we don't have, Gene asks, when are you doing the zombies movies with Barry? So we are shooting it on Saturday the 20th, and then I'm not sure when it's going to be released. So Barry will do the editing and everything on it, and I would imagine it's probably going to be right at the end of the month or sometime early in May. But once he's got that, like once he's shared it and he's got it out there. Are you subbed to his channel, Gene? I'm just curious to know if you'll see it pop up over there. I'll definitely share it as well. So I'll let you guys know once Barry's got the thumbnail out there, and once you can set a notification, I will share it. That's one thing I'm not shy about doing on social media. I am blowing up Instagram with all sorts of thumbnails and stories all the time. Celebrating Halloween during the summer, lol. Yeah, so I guess I've never thought about Summerween because it's like you're kind of so close, And yeah, maybe like Halloween is just something that we sort of, I mean, gosh, look at what I'm surrounded by. It's sort of like horror is something that surrounds my life all the time. But I wanted, like, I Googled, I was like, what's the halfway mark between, like, you know, for Halloween? And they're like, well, it's April 30th or May 1st. So that's either going to be a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I'm thinking about doing it on Tuesday, April 30th. Just so that way it's like, you know, the end of the month, just like Halloween's at the end of the month. So yeah, guys, go and vote on the Halloween fan film that you want to see covered on that Halfway to Halloween live watch along. We've got Matt Facci in the chat. Thank you so much for dropping by, Matt. Matt says, congrats on 500, Davey. Sexy Death Ray. Keep grinding, brother. Hey, you bet. And Matt sure as hell knows what it's like to grind, because he's doing live streams, videos all the time. He's got some heavy hitters, some really awesome content creators over there on his channel that pop in for interviews. You're going to be covering great horror movie sequels with Nick from the Lost River Drive-In. So please go over to Facci Cinema, give him a sub if you haven't already, hit those notification bells so you can watch all that great content. He's doing this really cool. Are you all wrapped up with Texas Chainsaw, or are there another couple that you have to do? Because he's got a great way to rank the movies. So there's a point system for each thing that happens in the movies, right? So instead of it being like a ranking based on like your taste or how much you liked the movie or your opinion on the movie, it's strictly a points-based ranking system, which I think is really cool because Texas Chainsaw 3D is in first place. So you guys are going to want to hop over there and jump in the chat and watch those movies along with Matt and his awesome guests, man. He had Drum Dums on there. He had Ken from Sledgehammer Horror on there. And you're doing something soon with the Rad Pack guys, right? I don't know if it's a TCM watch along, but I know you've got a video cooking up. So yeah, Matt, feel free if you want to share a link to your channel or something in the chat. Absolutely. Go ahead and do that. Nothing wrong with building that community here in the chat. I'm not going to get upset about you, sharing your stuff for sure. TCM 2022 to go to end of April and then wrap up the show at the beginning of May. That's awesome. So there's a whole series. So if you're a big Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan and you've got those movies, you can hop over to Matt's channel. You can watch each single one, pop in your DVD or Blu-ray and hang out with them the whole time. I think that's really awesome. That's pretty much what we're going to do with Grandma's Boy, right? I mean, like, we've got it on DVD, but we'll probably hop on Hulu. You know, I don't know. Maybe we will just watch the DVD. Tyler says he's getting his new garage set up for making stuff. This Halloween is getting an upgrade, dipping my toes into animatronics. Yeah, we talked about that last week. That's one of Tyler's goals for 2024 is to work on his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action fan film, and then also building that shop space. Yeah, no problem, Matt. Absolutely, man. When I believe in what someone is doing, and we talk about it all the time here, I want to make sure we're about doing it too, right? So it's not enough just to say that you want to build community and that you want to lift each other up. It's just doing it, right? So yeah, when I watch what you do over on your channel, I have a good time, and I think the same kind of people that have fun over here would definitely have fun. And I have no doubt that we've got a really good amount of overlap too, because you were gracious enough to have me on your channel for an interview, and every time I pop in the chat and say what's up, you're really sweet to me in that regard as well. So absolutely, man, 100%. So yeah, guys, I think that might. Oh nope, that's not all I have for you. So let's see here. There it is. I know I already mentioned it when we were talking about Movie Punks earlier, but we do have a thumb all ready to go. You guys can actually set the notification. You can go over to the channel and hit that notification. So when this episode drops on May 11th, that's Saturday, May 11th, we're going live with episode 2 of Movie Punks. We're going to be talking Dawn of the Dead, the OG, 45 years. And a movie that seemingly gets better every single time I watch it, right? I think this is one of those movies, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say they don't like it. I've definitely heard some people just say that they're sort of and maybe sometimes a movie gets so built up, and it's like, maybe if, you hear about it your whole life, you watch it when you're 30 years old and you're like, and it's, yeah, sometimes that can happen. But I was fortunate enough to see Dawn of the Dead when I was probably like 17 or 18. it's been a movie that's been so rare and tough to get a hold of for a really long time. So at that point, there was like one VHS copy in my tiny hometown, and me and my friends rented it. I'll get more into that story when we cover it on Movie Punks, but I wanted to share that with you guys just to tease it there. And I think that's all. Oh, nope. Gosh, I keep on burying it all. Yeah, let's see here. Sorry, guys, I'm a little stuffy for some reason here. The last thing that I've got to share as far as what's coming up on the channel is on May 12th, so the night after Foz and I go live with Dawn of the Dead celebration of 45 years, I'm hopping on over to Movie Misfits, and Chris Snyder and I will be covering the entire Indiana Jones franchise. So we're doing a whole retrospective Sunday, May 12th. I think we're hopping on live for that as well. I love this graphic that Chris put together for a couple of reasons. So number one, that picture of me, I'm probably like 30 or like early 30s. I lost that hat a long time ago. I loved that hat so much. But I think he found that picture on Facebook or something, and he was like, I can use a different picture. I'm like, no, man, it's cool. I lost some weight, so I kind of look like that again, even though I don't have those glasses and I don't have that hat anymore. Rest in peace. I'll probably tell the story about the hat when we do the retrospective, but the long and short of it is one of my bands played a show at a frat house years ago, and some sorority girl took it off my head and ran away with it, and I never saw it again. And she didn't even smooch on me, so it wasn't even, I got nothing out of the deal. I just got robbed, straight up robbed. Chicks, man, they get away with everything, right? Allie, can you confirm that? Do you get away with everything? Gene, you get away with everything? All right. So yeah, that'll be May 12th. And then another, one funny thing that I found out this week is Chris and I have the same birthday. I think Chris is about 10 years younger than me, but we're both May 18th babies. So I know he's doing something on the 17th for as a birthday celebration with his Rad Pack people, but maybe I can convince him to like hop on my birthday just for like a few minutes, and we can like share a toke together and say what's up to you guys or something. We'll see what happens. So yeah, that's what I've got for you guys as far as like what we did this week and then what we've got coming up in the future. And yeah, man, we're coming in, we've been on for about an hour and 40 minutes. So I guess we can go, another 20 if you guys want to hang. We still got a pretty good crowd here in the chat. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask, they can be pretty much about anything, or if you got a question about one of these shows, or even if you just want to let me know some sort of movie you want to see covered or something like that, let me know. Don't be shy. Let's see here. Evil Monsterism. So Paul says, I assumed I was subbed to Fatchy's channel, but I just checked and wasn't, so just subbed. Thank you for doing that, Paul. That is, one of the things, you can see somebody come through your feed so much that maybe you start thinking like, oh, I must have subbed. Or you watch a couple videos and you just figure you did. But yeah, really appreciate you jumping over there just to make sure that you're subbed and clicking that button when you saw you weren't. That's awesome, man. And then Raymond and Tyler are both, so Raymond's, I love OG Dawn of the Dead, but I haven't seen it in a long time. So yeah, Raymond, maybe you can, brush up. You've got some time, almost a month, so you can rewatch it and jump in and reminisce with us and have a chat. Tyler says OG Dawn and the remake Dawn are great. Yeah. Yeah, Tyler, that Goblin soundtrack in the original Dawn's really damn good. Really good. Let's see here. Raymond says if that one's live, I'll definitely be in the chat for that one. For the for Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, that one will be live, and the Indiana Jones will be live too. We're gonna go live most of the time here on the channel, I think. And then even when I appear on other people's channels, I think for the most part, the live to me seems to get better engagement for sure. And we got Robert the Wolfman is back. Ow, ow, ow! Robert. Thank you for dropping in, man. Robert and I are planning a trip to Australia, people. So Tyler says, speaking of Indiana Jones, did you like Dial of Destiny? I have not seen it, Tyler. I haven't even seen Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So I have some homework. I've got my parents have the original trilogy on DVD, so I just borrowed those, and I'm going to go through those this week. Kate and I will probably watch Raiders of the Lost Ark tonight, I would imagine, because I want to be able to take some notes. I mean, I'm very familiar with the first 3 films, especially The Last Crusade, because that's my favorite one. You know, it came out when I was like 7 years old, so it's like the one that I just watched more because it was, you know, newer. I really liked the religious elements, and I really love Sean Connery and Harrison Ford together. I thought they're a really good duo. So, oh, hell yeah, Raymond. Yeah, that'll be a live stream. So, yes, pop in there. I'm a little nervous about watching Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. More so than I am for Dial of Destiny, because I've heard Dial of Destiny is like fine, but I've heard Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is like a slap in the face, like just atrocious. And I've watched other people's reviews of it, so I know for the most part like what the film is about. But yeah, I've got some homework to do, and I've got to dip into my pocket to either go purchase the copies of those films or rent them online. So we'll see what we can get. Per Kayla, just found this channel. Howdy from Texas. Well, hey, Kayla. Howdy from Arizona. How did you find the channel, and what made you say, I'm going to jump in on that 500 subscriber live stream? I'm curious to know just how you found us. Is there, maybe another channel that everyone else in here kind of follows that you follow as well? Are you a horror fan? I'd love to know a little bit more about that. Please share. Oh, Robert says, I haven't gone anywhere. You've just been playing in the background while I put up a new fence. Hell yeah, Robert. Well, I can definitely appreciate that. You got to get some chores done on Sunday, right? You got to do a little bit of that. And hopefully you're wearing sunscreen, unlike myself at Polish Fest yesterday. Because look at that. I've got, man, I'm just burned up. I look like Mr. Sinister here with the triangle on my chest. Raymond says he loved Dial of Destiny. Well, that's encouraging. That is encouraging. I definitely heard it was so much better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Well, hell yeah. Welcome, Kayla. Yeah, I'm curious to know how you found us. And yeah, subscribe, check out what else we've got going. I know you missed a little bit of what we were talking about when we did a roundup of everything we covered on the channel earlier this week, and then some plans we have for the future. So if you want to scrub back in the stream about 10 or 15 minutes, you can learn a little bit about that. What's happening? Chris Snyder from Movie Misfits is in the chat. Chris, we were just talking about Indiana Jones and the fact that you and I have the same birthday. So just wrapped up talking about that. Let's see here. I think there it is. We got it right there. Indiana Jones and the Death Ray of Misfits coming straight at you live Sunday, May 12th. God, I miss that hat. I'm not going to stop talking about how much I love that hat. Fun story about that hat. I went to Warped Tour one year. A friend of mine knew somebody that was doing press for the tour, so we got backstage passes, and we're walking around. I met Fat Mike from NoFX, and he looked at my hat, and he was like, nice hat. I have one that's similar. And I was like, I bought mine at Target. I made a total ass out of myself just to kind of be a jerk to him. But I mean, I love NoFX, but if you know NoFX, you know that Mike kind of has a reputation for being a little grumpy. So I kind of wanted to give him a little bit of his own medicine. But yeah, thank you so much for coming by, Chris. Yeah, everyone go check out Movie Misfits channel. Chris does, man, he did this unboxing of the Don't Eat the Gum box, which if you haven't checked out what they do over at Don't Eat the Gum, it's really cool. Boxes of little trinkets and horror themes that you can purchase for really reasonable prices. There's some really cool stuff in there. Chris also does, of course, movie reviews. He does watch-alongs, a lot of like 80s, 90s nostalgia drip kind of content over there. And he does live streams on Saturdays as well. Sometimes our live streams overlap a little bit. So one of my rituals is once I wrap up with mine, I always like to jump in and see what's going on over there. Like I said, room for all. I try to do my best not to step on anyone's toes, but you know, it's just going to happen on a night like Saturday, right? It's like you just got to do what you got to do. But check out Movie Misfits. You can set notification bells for everything that he's got going over there. And yeah, Chris, it is. I was saying, like I said to you, on your YouTube post, it's like yet another thing we have in common because we have very, very similar tastes when it comes to film and television and all that. So, my favorite thing, I will say this. I know it's tough to pick favorites sometimes. I love his Misfits After Dark, where like in the middle of the week he'll hop on. It's like 9 or 10 I think it's 10 p.m. Pacific time. So it's like late out there on the East Coast, or at least East Coast time where Chris is out in Ohio. So right, you're in Ohio, Chris, is that right? So yeah, I love those late nights because not many people hop on live at night. So it's really cool to, during the week to just hang out a little bit later and have an intimate hangout in the chat. Let's see here. Target sells a good selection of horror NECA. They do. Target's horror stuff, and I think even like some of the steel books and stuff like that. Whenever I go to Target, it's like I buy kitty litter, I buy toys for the cats, and then I go over to the electronics and trinkets area to look at the toys and the like the adult toys. Not adult toys like that, guys. Come on, heads out of the gutter, people. But then also look at the movies as well. And you know what? Kate really likes, she did this whole bunch of these Lego Harry Potter like Lego books that you can unfold. They're like different rooms in Hogwarts. And then Kate's a big plant fan, so I got her like a Lego plant. So I also look at that kind of weird stuff. I didn't grow up like a Lego kid per se. I know some people that have like boxes and boxes and bags of Legos that they cart around with them. I was never like that, but it's a cool thing to find there. So Kayla, did you find the channel through Robert the Wolfman? Because I think I missed how you said you found the channel. Although maybe you just, that's okay. Maybe you just didn't say yet. No worries, no worries. All right. Raymond says, is there an actor or actress you would like to meet someday? That's a really good question, Raymond. Trying to think. Somebody that like I may not be able to, I don't know. Like Bruce Campbell for sure. I'd love to meet Bruce. That would be amazing. I'm such a fan of just not only like the films that he's in, but also the films and the projects that he produces. And also just like the way he looks at fandom and at filmmaking. He's somebody that like really embraces that role. And kind of hams it up, but does it with so much love for the fans. So I'd love to meet Bruce. This summer, the plan is to meet Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich at Mad Monster. And I think they've got some other folks from Scream coming out too. So like Rose McGowan's going to be out there. It'd be really cool to meet her. At H45, I got to meet Anthony Michael Hall, which was incredible because I watched him as Rusty in the original Vacation. And then, of course, there's like Weird Science. But even like in my teen years, he was in a movie called Hail Caesar with Robert Downey Jr. when they were both kind of in this weird lull in their career. And it's cool to see that they've been able to like stay friends professionally and like, just in regular life. It was really cool meeting him. I met, gosh, I'm totally blanking on the name. Rowan from Halloween Ends. He was very, very nice, super fun, having a real good time with everyone in the crowd there. I've been fortunate enough to meet some people, but Bruce Campbell would be awesome. Chris wants to meet Tobin Bell. I can totally get it. Chris is a big Saw guy. And Shawnee Smith. Yeah, Shawnee Smith, I love her from Who's Harry Crumb. Are you a Who's Harry Crumb fan, Chris? I would imagine that would be a movie that would be right up your alley. Have a great night, Gene. Thank you so much for hanging out. Really appreciate you coming by. You rock as well, and we'll see you next time. Per Kayla says, no, I was just flipping through random live channels and found this one. That's great. On that front page, I'll click the live tab and just kind of see what's going on too. I love discovering new people. I watch a lot of different stuff on YouTube. So I go to YouTube for music, sports, politics, entertainment, movies, like news, all that kind of stuff. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for giving us a chance. If you like what you're seeing here and experiencing here, please consider hitting that subscribe button and checking out what else we have. We've only been doing the channel since August and just, hitting a really nice stride here. New shows are debuting, collaborations are starting to really come flooding in, and it's amazing. It's just been so much fun. And Per Kayla says, Texas Frightmare weekend here next month. Can't wait. I go to various kinds of Comic Cons. This is my profile picture. All right. Yeah, I'll have to check you out here after the stream. That's awesome. So yeah, I love that con life. Big time horror fan, obviously. Let's see here. Chris says, people sometimes forget Robert Downey Jr. is in Weird Science. Yeah, he's one of like the jerks. Absolutely. And people forget that Judy Aronson from Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is in Weird Science as well. And what's his name? I can't think of the actor's name, but he was in the original Hills Have Eyes. The slender gentleman with the bald head. He's got a very unique, kind of frightening look, but I've heard he's like the sweetest guy in the whole entire world. His name is just totally slipping me right now. Thank you so much, Kayla. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate you taking a chance here on us. And Chris says, Summer School and Becker was what made me a fan, but Harry Crumb is great too. Yeah. Who's Harry Crumb is a John Candy movie that I don't really hear many people talk about, but it is amazing. Like, to me, it's kind of, it's like his Fletch, it's like bumbling investigator kind of thing, but it's definitely a John Candy flavor for sure. Tyler says Andrew Bowser did a vlog at Frightmare that ends a little dark. Nice. I did the VFX. Awesome. Way to go, Tyler. Hell yeah. Yeah, I would love to check out something like Texas Frightmare. I'll have to look, and I would imagine it, it must be similar to the other traveling cons where you've got, your staple of horror people that kind of go around and check everything out. Now, Kayla, at Texas Frightmare, do they ever like debut brand new films or do screenings of classic films? I'm just interested to know what kind of fare you have out there when you go to those cons. Michael Berryman, thank you so much, Raymond. Foz talked about Michael Berryman when we did our Movie Punks episode last night, so I was like, why can't I think of his name? It was kind of on the tip of my tongue. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Yeah, Chris got to meet him and got a fun story with him. That's what Foz was saying. He was really sweet. And then I've heard, like, I don't know if it was like a commentary on a movie or two, but I've heard that about him, that he is like arguably the nicest guy. I've heard that about him, and I've heard it about Derek Mears. That I've heard Derek Mears is one of the sweetest, like most gentle guys at the con, which is, it's so cool to hear that, especially from these guys that are have imposing, intimidating appearances. And I mean, Derek Mears is just a total beast, an amazing Jason. I think that's one of the reasons why the Friday the 13th remake really works for me. I think his Jason's incredible. I think, unfortunately, we were robbed of him being able to at least play Jason 2 more times. It would have been great. But here we are 15 years down the road, and if Friday the 13th ever comes back to the screen, I doubt we'll see him, and we'll see if it ever comes back, because we all know what's been going on lately with that and the cease and desist for the video game. Really, really disappointing to hear all that. Brother Fluff Salisbury, thank you so much, sir. Great to see you in the chat. I think I may have seen you pop in on another stream before, but I see you on all sorts of other channels. Of course, see you on Facebook and all that stuff. So thank you so much for the congratulations. Really, really appreciate every single one of you guys. The encouragement, the subs, checking everything out, and of course, spreading the word and letting other people know who are into this kind of stuff to come on over and give the channel a shot. Tyler says when cosplayers take it too far. So that's how it gets dark. Okay. Awesome. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check it out. I haven't seen that. And did that just come out, Tyler? Let me know. Chris says, I haven't met Derek Mears, but I'm not surprised. He's a good guy. Those villains usually are some of the nicest people in the business. Yeah, you know, James Jude Courtney, I didn't get to meet him at age 45 because I was like, you know, you're choosing between your economic decisions, and then you're choosing between like your time and, you know, like Nick Castle's got this huge line. James Jude Courtney has this huge line, and I'm kind of like, well, I wanted to meet a whole bunch of people and still be able to buy merch and do some other things at the convention. So didn't get to meet James Jude this last time around, but I would imagine he'll be at H50. I'll definitely meet him. And he looked like he was having so much fun. Crazy friendly guy with everyone. He was sort of like they would always have an MC at their, you know, they do those panels. They would always have somebody hosting the panel. But I felt like James, whenever he was involved in any of the panels, he would sort of just like kind of take over, give everyone shit. It just seemed like he was like the big brother on those crews and, you know, with those actors. So, yeah, you're right, Chris. It is funny. And I think that's, maybe one of the reasons why they're so friendly is because you don't want people to, maybe you're just happy to get a break from that mask and from acting that way. I heard, you know, before Gunnar Hansen had passed, I heard that he was really amazing. And, you know, I think he was in that movie. It's like Mosquitoes or something, like a really low budget creature feature from the 90s. And I heard this story that when he was, on the set for that Mosquitoes movie, that like he would bring food, like he would go to a restaurant, whether it was like McDonald's getting breakfast sandwiches, but like, you know, it sounded like they didn't have proper like craft services for the crew. So he would go and out of his own pocket go and buy like meals for people. So really cool to hear those kinds of stories for sure. Paul says, I want to meet that mean lady who was the original host of The Weakest Link and ask her to roast me. Yeah, is she still around? You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Kayla says they've done some screenings in the past, and local theater usually shows something like that has the stars in it that'll be there. Okay, cool. So sometimes they do things at the convention, and then sometimes they also do some things just outside, like in the area nearby. That's really cool. That's like at H45, they had all sorts of screenings of Halloween, like just right around the corner from where the convention center was. But I don't think they showed like any films at that convention. But places like Mad Monster, they'll do like, you know, Dylan's New Nightmare had its like unofficial, you know, pre-screening event there. So it's really cool to see stuff like that when you go to cons too and kind of get a first glimpse of something. Really cool. Oh my gosh, Kayla, you're apologizing for talking a lot. Look at me. Here we are going on 2 hours and it's just blah, blah, Davey, blah, blah, blah. Movie punks, blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much, blah, blah. That's what we do here. We are here, you know, Kayla, you're coming in late and you're just getting to know me, which is awesome. So I'll say it again. What I want to do here on the channel is connect with all of you guys, build a community with you, with the other content creators. To me, all this interaction and getting to know you guys and you guys getting to know me, it helps build momentum. It energizes me and it's great for mental health, I think, connecting with people in a positive way. So, that's like really the way that I would like to find success through doing something like YouTube is, doing it by connecting with people in the most genuine way that I can. And yeah, hopefully I get to meet some of you guys at conventions just going as a fan and we can kick it and get to know each other, you know, even better out there in the real world. So yeah, it'll be great. Let's see here. Paul says, I have Mosquitoes somewhere in my DVD collection. Does that sound familiar? Have you heard that story, Paul, about Gunnar Hansen on that Mosquitoes movie? That movie's like a really fun, you know, like a bad movie, but like doesn't take itself too seriously, really tongue in cheek. And I love a good like cheapy kind of creature feature, a little throwback to like the 60s days, right? The Burt I. Gordon kind of days. So Tyler will give me the link. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Tyler. Brother Fluff says Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters and Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp are the coolest two that I have met. I've heard that about Felissa Rose. And man, I had the chance to meet her at a convention. It was Christmas to Dismember that was out here in the Phoenix area in December. I met Barbara Crampton, it was great. And speaking of Christmas to Dismember, Cecil from the Horror Show channel is in the chat, and I went out there with Cecil and the guys from the Horror Show channel to cover the event a little bit and just kick it. But I didn't meet Felissa Rose because guess what, guys? I haven't seen Sleepaway Camp yet. I know. Remember when I was talking about like the hype and how it like builds and it's just a movie that I've never seen. So it's like, gosh, I fear that when I see it, I'm just going to see all the sleazy characters that everyone talks about, all like the inappropriate kind of stuff. And then of course I know the twist at the end. So, you know, maybe it just wouldn't have as much of an impact on me. For example, the first time that I watched The Burning, like I was kind of let down, honestly. Like I thought The Burning was going to be a lot cooler. And then when you find out that like Harvey Weinstein like wrote the story for the movie, like I don't think he wrote the script, but it was like his idea. And then you realize that like 3 or 4 of the main characters are like really aggressive about like pushing sexual stuff with their girl. The whole thing just sort of started to feel a little dirty to me at that point. But yeah, I have yet to see Sleepaway Camp, but I've heard that about Felissa Rose, that she is amazing. And thank you so much, Cecil, for jumping in. Thank you for the congrats on 500. I know it's a relatively low number, guys, but here to celebrate this one. Probably going to keep it low key as we approach 1,000. Like, you know, we'll probably celebrate quietly on these live streams when we hit the 700, all that stuff. The next big to do, I'm going to hold off for when we hit that 1,000 mark. I really hope we can do it by August. I know that's a lofty goal, but let's shoot for the stars. And if we fail trying, then so be it. And we'll just keep on pushing. Paul has an insane amount of creature features in his physical media collection. That is awesome. And yeah, Cecil confirms that Felissa is tops. I've heard that she just, you know, gives you that eye contact, makes that connection, really celebrates the people that celebrate her and her contribution, which you always love to see, right? Because there are some people that sort of have that, like, I don't think it's a big deal. They're just a little standoffish, even though they're there at the convention because they're getting paid to. It's part of their job, or it's just another way they make a living. But just because, you know, you do something as a side hustle doesn't mean that you're necessarily happy to do it. So it is great to interact with those folks that are truly happy and appreciative of meeting their fans. So, I met Barbara Crampton at that convention, and I was a total mess because I just have such a crush on her and love her performances, not only in the older films like Reanimator, but also there was a movie from like 2016 or 2014. I can't remember. It's called We Are Still Here. And that movie is an excellent, talk about when we were talking about underrated horror movies, that is an awesome haunting movie, a really cool slow burn. Like, again, if you're a fan of movies like The Innkeepers or The Changeling or even like What Lies Beneath by Robert Zemeckis, then you will absolutely adore We Are Still Here. Holy crap, that movie's really good. But yeah, I was like a total teenager around Barbara Crampton. I like laid my head on her shoulder, maybe got a little too close, but we got a really sweet pic together, and yeah, it was awesome. So I just figure before I meet Felissa Rose, I need to do right by her and check out the film, right? So hopefully have that experience here in the future as the channel continues to grow and my journey as far as a horror fan and a fan of film just continues to grow because you guys are out here, you know, recommending awesome movies that I've never seen. You guys are sharing your thoughts and feelings, which is great. I love, I love this interaction with y'all. I can't believe it. 15 people still in the chat, and we've been going for 2 hours, guys. This is a big deal and an awesome time. Thank you so much for joining me. I think that since we sort of hit that 2-hour mark, now would be a good time to just sort of wrap things up with y'all. But I do have a question here. Let's see here. Paul asks, Davey, any thoughts on the Twister remake or the Strangers prequel? Cecil. Twister, I didn't really care about that first movie that much. It didn't really do much for me. I love Bill Paxton, but that whole era of like mid to late 90s like disaster movies didn't really do much for me. I think I like Dante's Peak the best out of all those movies. Yeah, Twister, like whatever. Like, so I guess I don't really have any thoughts. I haven't even watched the trailer for the remake or legacy sequel or whatever the heck it's supposed to be. I'd imagine the effects will be really cool. That's kind of like was the big deal about the first movie, is at the time the effects were really groundbreaking. So yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to, I guess I should watch the trailer to see, but something I'm not really interested in. Haven't seen the Strangers trailers either. That's another series I need to give a rewatch, or I know what it's the two films, right? I need to go back and check those out before going and checking out the prequel stuff, because it's been a while. Yeah, and Cecil says, can confirm Davey was a nervous Nelly for Barbara. Yeah, I don't get, it's weird. Like even though I'm like, get pretty comfortable on these streams with you guys, every now and then, you meet somebody or you're interacting with someone and you just start thinking to yourself, gosh, dude, don't mess it up. And that's when you start acting like a weirdo. No, but Barbara was super sweet. She was awesome. She's been like, when I've like tagged her in things on social media or, whatever it is, like she's very like interactive and engaging on social media with the fans. I see her reposting other people's stuff as well. So I think that's a really awesome aspect as to her as just a person, and she really loves, I mean, the love that she has for the genre, not only as a performer, but as being on the producing kind of side and just being, a big fan of the genre herself and sort of being a spokeswoman for it. And also going to bat for the actors and the writers, like during the strikes. I think that's another really important thing that people have been doing it for a while should be doing, right? Her and Judy Aronson were both really big on that. It was really cool to see all those like 80s horror icons, like her and Bill Moseley and all those guys hanging out just like at her house. I'm like, what a wild hangout that would be when you've got like 4 icons of horror, especially from that era, all hanging out with each other. What amazing conversations they must be having, right? Blu-ray Addict says favorite Nick Cage action movie and favorite Nick Cage horror movie. Did you ask me about favorite Nick Cage last time? I feel like maybe you did. Action movie? Face Off? Horror movie? Man, I don't know if I've really seen him in too many horror movies because I have yet to see Mandy or the Five Nights at Freddy's, the one that beat Five Nights at Freddy's to the punch. What, Willy's Wonderland? I actually haven't seen those guys. Yeah, it's shocking. I'm on YouTube talking about movies, but there's a lot of movies I haven't seen. So I definitely got my work cut out for me, but I think that's a great thing about having the channel is as I go through and experience these movies, I can share those thoughts with you guys. And that's something that we can work into these Sunday hangouts, is just sort of like maybe instead of doing reviews for every little thing, just sort of like, hey, let's talk about like what I watched this week. And then, I think I just have one more metric to hit before we can start doing fun stuff like super chats and memberships here. It would be amazing. Like, how cool would it be for a membership stream where you guys pick like 2 movies for me to watch or whatever, and then we do a live stream where we just come back and I've watched the movies and we just talk about them together, and it's just kind of a off the cuff conversation with you guys. Like, that could be a really cool little membership perk, but we need to get the hours of views or some ridiculous thing. I can't remember. We need to get one more metric filled out before we can do that kind of stuff. So please share with everyone that you think would like this kind of content, and we'll get it cooking. Tripping with Dre and Michelle, make it 5:01. Hello, everybody. Hashtag new sub. Thank you so much for coming by, Tripping with Dre and Michelle. I'm excited to see where we'll be here after the stream, because I think as of when the stream started, we were at like 5:20. So yeah, YouTube kind of rewards you for cooking right along. So Raymond, really appreciate you coming back. And we'll see you in the next chat over on Dave's channel or over at TSL or something like that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that Indiana Jones. And seeing you in the chat for that as well. Cool. Tyler's working on something with Andrew Bowser, so he's going to be doing CG there. There's a feature starring Barbara Crampton that he's still looking to make. Okay. Yeah, she still looks amazing. She's got the chops. Get it cooking. I keep on saying that. Get it cooking. Hey, what's happening? Bradley Johnson from my hometown of Juneau, Alaska. Brad, man, that is so awesome seeing you in here, bud. Brad was, when I was playing music back in Juneau, he was the most supportive guy. He was at every show. He was learning my songs and singing along at shows. It was the very first time I'd ever experienced somebody singing my music live with me, and being like a true fan, showing real appreciation for the music. So thank you for doing that, Brad. Brad is a massive, fan of horror and film and, metal, ICP. The cool thing about Brad is whatever he loves, he wears it all over, wears it right on his sleeve, literally and figuratively, and celebrates it every moment. I think that's a really important thing, for all of us to do, is to celebrate the things we love in life. You only get one go round here doing this thing. So no need to be bashful. Love what you love. Don't apologize for it, and share it with the world, right? Because thank you so much, Brad. You're too sweet, man. Tripping with Dre and Michelle. They're going to Alaska in August. What should we eat? Are you doing a cruise, or where exactly are you going? You should definitely eat salmon, king crab, and halibut for sure. I highly recommend those 3 items no matter where in Alaska you go. King crab is very expensive, but holy shit, it's unreal. It'll blow all other crab that you've ever eaten completely out of the water. And have some fish and chips. In Alaska, they do fish and chips with halibut. And I think it's the best version of fish and chips that I've ever had. So really good shit. Yeah, Allie, thank you so much for reminding me, guys, on your way out or on your way in, or just right here if you're hanging out on your computer, click that like button. Really helps us with, playing the system of YouTube. We want to make sure that people like Trippin' with Dre and Michelle and let's see here, it's Carrie, right? We want to make sure people can or Kayla. We want to make sure that people like Kayla and Trippin' with Dre and Michelle can continue to just like stumble upon these streams. It's really cool to see people just sort of come in here. And Blake is back. The F is an lobster craw. Lobster craw. I don't know, lobster claw? That must be a movie reference that I'm totally missing right now. Sorry, sometimes in the moment I'm just like, all right, guys. Well, hey, does anybody have another... Oh, Blu-ray, what about that amazing... Okay, you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Okay, excellent, excellent. Anybody have any other questions here before we wrap it up? I've got to go back to real, actual life, unfortunately, and get ready for the work week and all that stuff, and pop in Raiders of the Lost Ark so I can get ready for that Indiana Jones retrospective with Movie Misfits. So let's see if you guys have any more questions. Doesn't look like any are coming in. Brad says they added all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies to Netflix. That is pretty fun. Brad, which one is your favorite? Is it the original? Either he was referencing Revenge of the Nerds or he's Chinese. I love Revenge of the Nerds, but I guess it's been a while. I do love those wild 80s comedies where there's just zany humor and tons of nudity. It's just real fun stuff. Thank you so much, Kayla. Appreciate you coming by. Yeah, guys, let's wrap it up. It's 15 after the hour, so we've been going on pretty solid here for a bit. Really appreciate you guys for subbing to the channel, hanging out in these streams. We still have 16 people in the chat. That's incredible. We have a whole bunch of great new stuff lined up on the channel. This Thursday, Movie Date with Davey and Kate is coming back. We are covering Friday the 13th, Part 2. One of the best in the series easily. For some people, it is their favorite, and I totally get why. And then on Saturday, we are doing a live watch along of Grandma's Boy. Kate and I are going to get stoned to the bejesus the entire time. So if you're a fan of cannabis, go ahead and light up with us. We'll watch that movie and laugh our asses off. Then we've got Gosh, I'm shooting a top 10 zombie movies with Barry from Wolfman's Got Nard, so that's coming either later this month or early May. Movie Punks returns with Dawn of the Dead on May 11th. That is a Saturday. And then on Sunday, May 12th, I'm hopping on with Movie Misfits for the Indiana Jones retrospective. So tons of stuff planned. Don't forget to go check out the poll on the community tab and vote for the Halloween fan film that you want me to watch for Halfway to Halloween on April 30th, and we'll get that set up here shortly. So yeah, guys, thanks again so much for coming by. We'll see you on the next stream on Thursday night with my lovely wife, Kate, by my side. And until next time, I've been and will continue to be Davey Deathray. Take care.